Hello, everyone. Welcome to Girl Meets Rugby. My name is Christina Lanham, and we have officially entered episode 003. We've had the first kickoff of Major League Rugby this past weekend, which we'll be looking at. Lots of games, lots of interactions, and a lot of emotion. We're also going to take a look at a little bit on the Women's World Cup side and their ticket sales and the growth of interest in women's rugby. And we're going to wrap up on round 2 of Six Nations. a fairly easy kick. Now, I'm not a kicker, and I definitely wouldn't have made it no matter, I could have been 2 feet from the goal. I still would have missed it. But it didn't look like it was that hard of a kick to make from my angle. So that's definitely something that Seattle's going to want to look at. But then we had a succession of another 2 tries within the next 20 minutes for Seattle. So they were really trying to, build some momentum, bringing back the score in that second half, which was really important. It was good to see them come back and not be defeated. And then at almost the 76-minute mark, San Diego scores again. And then we moved into overtime was the 81-minute mark. We had another yellow to San Diego, and then which resulted in, at the 84.5-minute mark, Seattle being able to score a try and earn themselves a bonus point. So there were some issues in that game. The timer at many times was not running, which was frustrating, especially as I was trying to kind of keep a flow of the timeline of when things were happening. So again, some of those AB issues on the first games, hopefully they'll get that fixed. But some really crazy matches, a lot of cards issued. So we had a total of 3 red cards and 14 yellow cards issued between those games. Of course, our one lone team, Utah, was on a bye week for the first week because, they've been on the road so hard and working. They needed that rest. But with an uneven set of teams this year, every week there'll be someone sitting on the sidelines. I believe Seattle is actually going into their bye week this coming week here, which probably is going to work really well for them, given the number of issues they had on the pitch. I think they could use that week to really refine and reset and get their ball handling in hand, figure things out, fix their line outs, all of that. And they can probably come back and be much stronger. I believe in Houston is going to be their 3rd week match, but don't hold me to that. So very exciting first week of play. Ultimately, the Eastern Conference came out the winners with so many cross-conference games. We only had one winner in the West, which was San Diego. All other teams either lost or were on a bye. So kudos to the Eastern Conference. I think we're in for an exciting season of rugby. And then with that, let's kind of talk a little on women's rugby. I don't have any women's elite rugby updates, but I did want to talk about Rugby World Cup posted out some really interesting statistics regarding ticket sales for the Women's World Cup. So in 2017, there were 45,000 tickets sold for the Women's World Cup. 2021, 150,000. And in 2025, so far, over 220,000. Now, to give you some statistics on that, and I want to thank James Dealey with MLR Stats and the NAR database for helping check my math. It's not my strong suit. So from 2017 to 2021, the 45,000 to 150,000, that's a 233% increase in ticket sales. That's huge. And then going from 2021 to 2025, we had a 47% increase in sales. Now, that may seem less from the 2017, but that's still, quite an increase in interest. And if you look at the range from 2017 to 2025, we've had an overall 389% increase in ticket sales for the Women's World Cup. And that's exciting to see. We've got way more people becoming interested in women's sport. They're seeing the level of competitiveness and professionalism, and that's only going to continue to grow. Women's elite rugby is definitely going to help contribute to that in the US. And you've got things like the PWR over in the UK and other women's leagues across the world that are bringing validity to women's sport and making that strong impact. Also want to give a shout out to the Bristol Bears for qualifying in fourth for the PWR championship. So wishing you all the best. I think we cannot understate the impact that Ilona Maher had on the PWR in general, just with bringing her notoriety from the Olympics, from Dancing with the Stars. The Bristol Bears had to change venues at times to accommodate the number of fans that wanted tickets. I think people came to see her, but they saw the game. They saw the game and they loved the game. And I think we're creating more fans that way. And so I want to just really shout out, I'm so glad the PWR, specifically the Bristol Bears, worked to find a way to have Ilona on the team and be able to play. And so I think it was good for that league. It was good for women's rugby. And I'm really looking forward to what the next round of women's rugby is going to look like. Just a reminder, Women's Six Nations will be starting up in March. And so it looks like they are going to stream those games on Peacock. Based on some of the research I've been doing, it looks like if you're in the US, if you have the streaming service for Peacock, you'll be able to see those games, which is exciting. Initially, it looked like they were only going to be streaming the men's, but I think I may have been wrong in my research there. And so that is what I have on the women's side of the world. And then I thought we would jump over to Men's Six Nations and do a little recap of round 2. So we started off with Italy versus Wales. So this was a wet game with ultimately Italy walking away with the win 22-15. This also was the match where Wales has decided to release their head coach, Warren Gatlin. And so now their interim coach is going to be Matt Sherratt, who's been the head coach for Cardiff Rugby. It was a better showing from Wales. Obviously, they got some points on the board. They definitely had some better set pieces in this game than they did against France. But Italy's still performing really strong. Unlike when they played Scotland and really their surge came in the second half, Italy played strong both ends of the game. And so it was exciting to see that. It was exciting for them to get another win at home in front of their fans. It's not something that Italy has had a lot of experience in. So it was really great to see, them win at home. Then we'll move on to Scotland versus Ireland. So ultimately, Ireland walked away with the win with this. Was on the home pitch for Scotland and Murrayfield. But Scotland had some major issues right in the first half due to some friendly fire, some head-on-head contact with Finn Russell and Darcy Graham. They lost both of those players within, I think, the first 20 minutes of the first half. And so Finn Russell ultimately did clear his HIA, but the coaches felt like they didn't want him going back to the pitch, which I think if there's any doubt in your mind, keeping him off the pitch is the right call. Darcy Graham was transported to hospital, but I have looked up and he, apart from a concussion, he is doing okay. No broken bones, no other concerns. He won't be play eligible again until like the day before the England match. So I imagine we're not going to see him again until at least fourth round. Finn Russell should be good to go for the England match, though. But with losing those players on the pitch, Scotland just struggled the rest of the game. And Ireland really took advantage. They looked to be in much better form than they did the previous week. And, really took that win solidly. If you get a chance and you haven't seen that match, though, I don't know who the commentator was, but there was some of the best commentary one-liners I've ever heard in that match. And I saw there was phrases like laying there like a poached egg, or he claps his hands like a seagull chasing her chicks. So I'd like to think he is the Scottish version of a good Southern one-liner here in the U.S., but good game to watch. Really felt for Scotland. They really got put off right in the very beginning with those injuries, and they just couldn't recover. And then last game of the week was England versus France. This was, well, technically England versus France was before Scotland and Ireland, but on my list that I wrote down, they're last. So, and that's because it was played at Twickenham, and this was the game to watch. It was extremely exciting. The England coach decided to bring Marcus Smith from fly half to 15 and bring in Finn Smith as the fly half. There was a lot of interest and comments about this, thinking this was going to be the wrong call, but ultimately it was the right call with Finn Smith himself getting man of the match in there. There was a lot of back and forth, but it was in the dying seconds of the game that England was able to secure their win. And so it was very exciting to see both teams also performing very strongly. But this also means with that loss to France that Ireland remains the only team eligible for a potential Grand Slam within the Six Nations. Everyone now has at least one loss apart from them. So we're back in, looking, in previous years where Ireland just performed really well. Now, of course, last year England beat Ireland in one game, so they didn't get that Grand Slam last year. But they're desperate for a three-peat, and I think they would love to put a Grand Slam on top of that. As we're leading into this coming week, there are several Ireland players that aren't going to be playing Wales due to or playing for Ireland against Wales due to injury. And I think the big thing to take away there is don't underestimate Wales. While they haven't been performing well, I'm sure they're just waiting for a team to assume they don't have anything to bring to the table, and there could be an amazing upset with that. So just as I was talking about in the MLR, you had to play every match like through the 80th minute till the ref blows that whistle, like the game is on the line. And if you end up decimating your opponent in the process of that, so be it. But you don't want to give any wiggle room because the other team will take it. So next week this coming week, we will have Wales versus Ireland in Wales, England versus Scotland in Twickenham, and Italy versus France, another home game for Italy. So this should be really interesting. My predictions are Ireland takes the win, France takes the win over Italy. In England versus Scotland, with Finn Russell back at the helm, that's going to be an interesting match. I think that's the match to watch is the England versus Scotland game and see who comes out on top there. Of the games, I think it's going to be the most highly contentious. But with that, it wraps up our Six Nations discussion. And I wanted to let you all know my post for next week will probably be a little delayed. I'm actually headed out to jolly old England myself tomorrow for a week to go visit friends that I would consider family and spend some time with them. But that also means that my ability to watch games is going to be significantly delayed. And so I'm going to try and catch up on my flight home as well as the day or so after that. So expect to see episode 4 come out probably by that weekend, just because I need some time to actually pull everything together to talk about stuff. But so just a little heads up on that. I'm really looking forward to heading over to England and seeing everyone. And here in the Midwest, it's been quite cold. So it'll just be cold and wet over there, which is fine. And with that, I think just piggybacking on the theme of what I've been talking about with the MLR this week, my thought for you as we take things off the pitch is mind your emotions. Emotions are great. They're powerful. but sometimes they can get you in a lot of trouble. And so there's times where we have to check our emotions. We need to hold our tongue. We need to not say or do the thing we really want to do, because ultimately it's going to be detrimental for us or those around us. And so take the time, figure out what it is that is going to help you mitigate acting out in a way that could cause yourself harm or cause your friends and family harm, and work on that, because we want emotions, we want emotional people. It's great, we love the passion, but you don't want to do things that are going to ultimately work against you. And I think we saw a lot of that this week in the MLR, and we need to, just like they, keep ourselves in check, even off the pitch as well. And with that, this is Girl Meets Rugby. I'm Christina Lanham, and this was episode 003. Take care, everybody. And maybe this will stop recording.